we have a very interesting guest on, actually. You're transgender. Her name is Elektra Powers. And she was, as I was asking her, did she mind talking about how she was born? She was born a man, but really was a woman. And we just went through this. And she's so grateful that I'm having you on. But why wouldn't I have you on?
I think most people are scared.
What's scared of? You're still a person.
Exactly. But they're more into the stigma of what are people going to say, what's society
Oh, I'm
say.
so used to what people say out there. I just had somebody send me a text saying that I had cancer and I was very, very sick and I was this, and this. Well, I haven't had cancer, I haven't had anything, and I'm perfectly fit and I feel great. Yeah. So rumors do go around. Yeah. People do get the wrong thing. The only thing what I really want to see more of is the positive side. You are still a person. You were born a boy. When did you realize that you were not quite what everybody thought you were?
So that was a little complicated because I come from a Christian background.
Yeah, because you're a gospel singer.
Yes, and my parents are Puerto Ricans, so that's a whole other culture.
Oh, that's another culture. Whoa, it's got a lot to do with
and then it gets worse, and then they're Pentecostal.
Oh.
So it was very strict. We couldn't listen to music, secular music, what they consider secular music.
Yes.
You couldn't go to the movies. Actually, the women in our church, they didn't color their hair. They couldn't wear makeup. They couldn't
let's just see you now.
Well, they have and they don't like it. But,
okay.
But so since I was younger, I knew I was different. I just didn't know what it was called.
You didn't know what it was?
No, I just knew that I didn't fit in. And I was always very girly. My brother, I was probably 5 or 6, and my brother would call me sissy and all that stuff with his friends since I was a kid. So I actually was always very feminine.
So you're always very feminine.
Yeah.
And then how old were you when you realized, wait a second, I've got to take a hold of this whole thing. I'm not exactly fitting into what I was born, and I feel this way.
So they kind of, when you go to that kind of church, they kind of put the fear of God in you.
Oh, yeah.
So they tell you that if you stop going to church or you stop doing this, you're going to, first of all, you're going to hell. Second of all, you're going to lose your voice. God's going to take your voice, the talent that God gave you.
Obviously, that didn't happen.
Obviously, it did not. But they kind of put that manipulation and that fear so you won't actually leave.
And that's actually, they do that as a child. How old were you at this time?
So I started singing when I was 3.
Okay.
At 8, I was harmonizing with my sister in church. At 14, I was leading the worship. So I gave all the parts.
And nobody at this time had any inkling as to...
I think they did. I think it was back
It was starting to come out.
It was back in the days that you didn't talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And
you started talking about it?
No. It took me a while. It took me a while because I was so afraid of my parents' ministry, of their, what are people going to say? So it took a while. I actually stayed in church till I was in my 30s.
Really?
Yeah. And then I moved to Florida to be in a non-denominational church, and things happened and I ended up...
So you still wanted to be in the church?
I've always loved spirituality. I just used to call it religion, but now I call it spirituality.
Because you really don't have to go to church to be spiritual.
No.
You can do that with your own group. In fact, a lot of the younger generation right now would rather be spiritual with their own group than going to church.
I think the difference is perspective. Yeah. You can go to church every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and do all the church things, and yet not have the love of God in you. Yeah. Or not live off of that unconditional love. Yeah. Because people say unconditional love, but they don't do it.
What is unconditional love? It's just a word. I don't know.
But it means no conditions.
Yes.
And church puts conditions. They tell you if you don't look like this, if you don't walk like this.
Yes. I'm a Christian. I go to church. I don't go to church all the time. I don't believe in going to church all the time. What I do believe is doing good every day, though. Mm-hmm. I think my church is every day. Yeah. What I do with people, how I handle people, how I am. That's what I do. I think that's more of my religion, though my father was Catholic, and I never went into the Catholic religion. I don't knock any of the religions. I think they're all great, but I think a religion isn't something you go to every Sunday. I think it's something that you do every day.
Yeah.
And respect for other people, who they are, like having respect for you.
Yeah.
So when did you start changing? When did you become transgender? When did you start changing this whole feeling good? I guess you started feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, because I went through a lot of stuff in my childhood too. So that made me very victim mentality and just like, woe is me. And,
victimized. You were victimized.
Yeah, I was very victimized. I was raped when I was 9 till I was 16 by different men in church and stuff. So I had...
By different men?
Yeah. I had...
So you already had that going already as a...
Yeah. But the crazy part is a lot of people say, well, that's why you... Well, when I was gay, they'd be like, that's why you gay. It's because you had that
experience.
Yeah.
Those things happened to you.
Yeah. And I'm like, there's two different types that people don't understand. There is environmental people that can become gay because of what has happened to them. But there's people that were born gay. And trust me, I was born. Because I remember...
People don't believe in being born gay. I believe you are born gay with the hormones. I think it's all to do with the hormones and how you are born. And so many female, so many male, and sometimes you've got more female or more male.
So before I started doing my hormones, I actually had the estrogen level was 59.
Okay.
And the minimum for men is 25. So women are women are 50 to like 200 and something. I was 59, and then my testosterone level, it's 230 something to like 1,000. I was 330 something.
So this was actually telling you who you are and how you felt. And was this giving you all the answers that you needed?
Not at all.
You still had to struggle.
That would have been nice. I actually think that's why I want to be a spokesperson, because I would like to make somebody's life skip that
easier.
Part. Yes.
Easier.
Because the first thing is you have to love yourself unconditionally. You have to know that, first of all, God loves you unconditionally.
Yes.
Aside from whatever anybody else says, is that He loves me and I love me.
And being brought up in the gospel, that's kind of helped you a little bit. A little bit. Probably not a lot.
I think it was more like a battle. You know,
like, battle for you.
Yeah, because they kind of tell you if you don't look a certain way, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, then they're trying to rebuke demons out of you and all that other stuff.
You don't have any demons in you.
Yeah, and nothing came out, so I was just like, what? And then they would hear me sing, and the power of God would fall all over the place, and then they would be like, well, what? Like they would be confused, and it's because you don't know how to discern. I see it now.
You understand it now.
Yes, because I understand that we're all energy.
Yes.
That's what we are. We're like this shell.
Some
this
people
doesn't
have
matter.
Some people have got more energy than other people, but it's all to do with what's going on.
We're made out of vibration. Like we literally, when I started transitioning was when I had that little dispute with the church, and I started singing in a gay bar. And my voice is too high to do boy voice. So I had to do girls. And that's when I started dressing up. But I've always wanted to, but I was the fear was just crazy.
Petrified. To be who you thought you were.
Yeah, so I started doing drag, but singing live, which 30...
So you sang live in drag?
Yes, but 20 years ago, that was not.
And that you were doing it 20 years ago?
Yes. So, like, I had a very sweet person who actually just passed away, Miss Sammy from Orlando. She was very open because she was a singer. She was from theater. So she never, like, discouraged me. No. But everybody else was like, you don't have to sing live. And I was like, why not? If I
want to sing live, I want to sing, why can't I sing?
And I can hit the notes. Like, I can
sing a little something for
Sure.
me? Oh, go ahead.
And I do it bilingual because that's what I do.
Sure.
Al fin, mi amor ha llegado. Mis días solitarios han terminado. Y la vida es como una canción. Alas, the sky above us, they are blue. My heart was wrapped up in clovers the night I looked at you.
Oh, that was beautiful. Isn't that amazing? And this is your real voice. This is something you didn't train. This is something her own voice.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I was always the soprano. I was always the boy soprano in choir. So the funny part about it is when there was soprano solos, everybody wanted me to do the solos. I was like,
no, well, you don't want me to be this, but you want me to be that.
But this is crazy. In school, they would put me in the soprano because that was my voice. Yeah. But when it came to church, I had to do the tenor or the boy voice. I couldn't do soprano.
You had to get back.
Unless they needed me, then the church has a really good habit of doing that. They use you when they want you. And they're like, the soprano's not here. You got to do it. So, but that was the only time they would do it.
But they would reach out to you and everything else. Yeah. So how has it been up until now? How has it been for you? You look very comfortable. You look very secure. You feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I think in this day and age, it's been brought out a little bit more. It's still not completely out there, but I think it's brought out a little bit more of people. This is how they are, and this is what they want.
I think that's why I appreciate that you take the time to interview me, because it's different to say somebody's trans, somebody's this, somebody's that, somebody's whatever they are. But you don't get an essence of them until you sit down and actually talk. And like I said, so what helped me to transition, I started singing as a girl all the time. And then I was like, okay, it took a long time for me to contradict
for you to understand.
Well, for me to contradict my conditioned mind.
Yeah, your beliefs.
Yeah. And so it took a time because I didn't want to transition, because this is the worst you can do. Like, being gay is bad, but transitioning for the church world, you're just going against what God.
You're completely.
Yeah, you're straight going to the in a basket, right?
Yes.
So
it don't look like you're going anywhere in a basket.
Too big. So the thing was, that's how I actually I started just living full time. And I got fired from my job, and I said, I'll never work as a boy again. And I just started living as a woman, and I haven't had a job in 12 years because of it. So the jobs that I do.
So how do you live?
So I was doing, I was working at gay bars.
Oh, okay.
As the door girl. Just, getting the money, whatever.
Yes.
The funny thing is, too, in the gay community, they didn't want me to do shows because I didn't do technically the whole full drag thing. And I actually sang live. So when you sing live, they're like...
Really?
Some of them are nice, but it's just a very...
Well, it's very awkward for you, though.
It's very...
even to this day, it's the same thing.
Yeah, so
hey, guys out there, wake up. This is life. You know?
And so then I actually just started going to straight bars. Yeah. She's my sister. I lost my family. I lost my connections with my parents.
You lost them literally.
I lost the people that are religious. Let's put it that way.
But they're still alive.
Yes, my parents are still alive.
But they don't talk to you.
They try, but the thing is, their trying is as long as nobody finds out. Like, you can't stay in my house because if a visitor comes, how we're gonna explain it? Because they're pastors. They're still pastors.
It's all very complicated, isn't it? And I would have thought, in 2021, come on, let's wake up.
Well, you would think. I have 6 brothers and 2 sisters. I only speak to one of my sisters. Don't speak to any of my nephews. Just my sister has 2 girls. They're the only ones. That's the hardest part for me, because I would love to be in my nephew's lives.
Do you think, this is just hypothetical, do you think it's because... they know you were born as a boy or a man, and now you appear as a woman. And do you think it's because they've now got to start explaining it, and they don't want to open up this sort of thing because maybe some of those children or some of those people might feel the same way as you do?
Not only that, they want to keep everything.
Disturb it.
Church people have a tendency of trying to keep people in a bubble.
Yeah, I was going to say they want to keep them in the bubble, and if you come in,
supposedly a holy bubble.
Yeah,
right?
supposedly.
But like you can never, the best way that you can do to your children or to anybody is to be open about everything, because the world has everything. When they get to the world, when they get older and they become whatever they become, they still are going to meet people like me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
None of you are going to disappear. You are what you are. You are born what you're born, or you take on what you want to take on. Yeah. And that actually, as a human being, this is all we have. This is all I've got. Mm-hmm. And I can take on anything I particularly want. I've taken on a show that I give a platform for people like you, for the music industry, for business people, for real estate people, authors, anybody. I have everybody on my show. Mm-hmm. I think it's more open now than it's ever been, that you've probably ever felt in your life, and it's still not open.
So I think what it is it has to do with the individual. Like you as an individual are open to bringing whatever's out there. Yes.
They have a platform.
And we were talking about this earlier. The English culture, I actually went to England in 2000. I was 45 years old, but I went for my birthday, and I didn't get any kind of reproach, any kind of ugly look, any kind of. It was just, and even if they had, it was like questioning if I was or I wasn't. But there was.
Yeah, we're open. We're more open.
And I was telling you, it's cultural. Yes, what you teach people is that you respect a person as a human being. Yes. What you do in your bedroom or what you do for your life, as long as you're not hurting no one, why does it bother me?
Yeah, it's like in England, we didn't have any of this racial stuff. When I was there, I mean, I'm not going to talk for now, but at that particular time when I was there was never a racial thing going around. I mean, it was like, you would never do that. It was an insult to do that.
And if it is, it's not the majority.
No, not at all. Like you've got those one or two people that are like, whatever they are.
One of the first shows that I started doing in Florida, I did it in a karaoke bar. Oh, really? That was an English pub. Yeah. And the owner sang like amazing. So he heard me sing, and the first time he heard me sing, he was like, you got to do a show here. Oh, well, so I started doing the show there, because everywhere else was very,
closed.
Closed-minded. And he was like, no, you can sing. I don't care. Like, and we used to do duets. I mean, it was just like insane. Alan, if you're seeing, love you.
Hi, Alan. Good guy.
And his wife. I mean, they were just great. But they opened their place for me to the perform. Funny thing is this, that I used to get, which is the part I kind of like. I used to get people come in and be like, wow, she's tall, or is she not, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I would start singing, and they were like,
oh, okay.
Like, I don't, like, what happened?
What difference does it make?
I remember one story, and I'll do it quick. There was a couple, and she came, so in the middle of the show, I started singing, I could fall in love with you. And I started, like, touching my friends. Like boys.
Yes.
So then there's always an older crowd. The older ladies were doing this, like to touch their husband, and kind of like sing to them. Yeah. It was insane. But afterwards, this girl comes up to me and she was like, oh my God, my husband was so afraid. He thought you were going to call him up. And I was like, well, why? What does he look like? And she was like, he's like this, like that. I said, go get him. So she goes and gets her husband, and he had these gorgeous blue eyes. And I said, oh, definitely.
You're coming up on stage.
I would have gotten you. And she started laughing. He started laughing. We sat down. We talked for 2 hours. He took a picture of me, and he was like right here.
Yes.
And he had never talked to a homosexual. He had never talked to anybody in the LGBT community. Yeah. And he said, you've changed my mind. And because I kept telling him, listen, a person is a person. It doesn't matter what their lifestyle is. A
Don't
person,
judge them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm still talk to her on Facebook once in a blue moon.
Oh, nice.
And I think that's what changing the world is, right?
Yes, I agree with that. Did you ever hear of Danny LaRue?
No.
Danny LaRue, he was a very famous young man impersonator, and he was also, did the transgender. I don't know if he did the transgender thing or what. I'm not quite sure, but he was very, very well known.
Well, the other thing I think that needs to be taught is that there's there's drag queens.
Yes.
There's transgenders and there's cross-dressers.
Okay. So they're all different.
Yes, drag queens are men.
Yes.
Who normally are gay.
Yes.
but they perform as women.
Yes, but they dress up during the day or everything as
everything
men.
else is that they do except when they're performance.
Yes.
The transgender is somebody who is born in the wrong body, or like it's the opposite. And then cross-dressers is just somebody who, gene-wise too, it's by their hormones, they actually like feeling womanly in women's clothes, but most of them are straight with wives.
Yes, they dress up as men because they are men,
and they don't care about the makeup and the hair and stuff like that. They're kind of more just the feeling.
Just the feeling.
So a lot of people don't understand that.
So now you understand it. Well, we've had a big lesson here. What would you advise anybody out there that felt the way you felt when you were actually a man, and then you started feeling that, well, I'm this and not that? What would you like to say?
I would say to love love you unconditionally at the place that you're at, whether that be a male, female, in between.
So don't be ashamed of who you are. Because
the depression can be bad. Like
you went through depression.
Yes. Well, it was very. It was just a lot. It's we're the highest. That kill themselves, suicidal.
Oh, suicidal.
The trans people are like the highest.
Are the highest.
Yes, because
they can't deal with. They can deal with themselves. They just can't deal with what's out there.
Yes, and the support. But I think that if you have the substance that you love yourself and you know that God loves you just like you are, that He doesn't love you in spite of you. He loves you because of you.
He loves you for you.
Yeah,
whatever you are, however you are, does not really matter.
And find support. Find somebody who loves you, just one.
Just one person is fine. How can anybody reach you if they want to book you? So she's all ready to be booked, and everything's opening up June the 1st. So here we go. So
Elektra Heavenly on Facebook, and the other one is, the Instagram is Aliyah, Aliyah Vandross, Vandross, and that's it. Just find me there and I'll give you all the
And she'll give you all the information over her experience and what she's been through, how she's been through. And I'm quite sure if there's any of you out there that are feeling very insecure about who you are, what you are, I'm sure that you would like to help them.
Yes, especially if you're trans. I'm all for it. Like I think there needs to be more support. I've been here 2 years and I haven't found that.
You haven't found the support here in Vegas? That's surprising to me.
That's another show. But
that's another. Oh, good Lord alive!
But it's not as
as you thought it would be. You thought it would be more open here and people would accept you better.
Or just the support.
Just support.
Like you have to have something to offer for them to even help you.
Yes. And you have a lot to offer anyway. So.
Well, I just like offering love, so that comes free.
What's better than that? That's amazing. Well, you've been amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We've got the message out there, a little bit more of what's going on, how they feel and who they are. Thank you for watching Vegas Live with Ninon. Nothing happens without you. We'll be right back with our next guest. If you enjoyed the last show we just did and all the other shows, don't forget to subscribe Vegas Live with Ninon on YouTube. We've got plenty more coming up and our guests are amazing. So don't forget to subscribe. We'll be right back. Vegas Live with Ninon.